Okay, this week I want to do these pretty little daffodils. So what I'm going to do is I've kind of lightly sketched in my painting here. I'm going to just squint down, put in the dark masses. I'm not paying attention to exactly what is what. I'm just making dark patterns, shapes that I see. I'm not thinking stems. I'm not thinking flowers. Just dark patterns and shapes. Because if I get all these shapes done in the right way, then it will say exactly what it needs to say when I'm done, and it will say pretty little yellow flowers in a little glass vase. And when I positioned this vase here, I wanted to do it with since it was square, I wanted the corner to come to maybe like 1/3 of the area. It comes to the point right here in this 1/3 area of across from here to here. I didn't want it to be completely split right down the middle because of that. You know what? I see this. I'm going to just make this all one shape right there. And then we'll come back and put more details in that. Is that okay with you? I thought so. All right, now I'm going to mix a darker color, the darkest value that I have. And I'm going to bend it green because I know I'm going to need that color in there. And I'm just still squinting down, looking at my dark shapes. I'm reinstating them from my sketch phase. I'm trying to get them more of the coloration that they need to be. Okay. Then I want to mix up my next value, which, let's see here, I'm going to put a little bit up here. Okay. Put my next value, I'm going to start with cobalt blue. Add a bit of yellow, bit of red. And this is just a little bit different value. I want this to actually be a little bit on the blue-green side for the coloration of the bottle. It's not exactly green, but it's got some blue in it. Let's see if that works. Maybe still, I need a little bit of white. Let's try that up here. I don't want to pollute the pile too much. Let's try that. That ought to work. Now I'm going to just go in and kind of touch those little areas that need touching. Okay. I'm using my pinky finger as a guide, just kind of touching the surface of my easel over here to the right to keep my hand steady and going, you know, making sure I'm doing an accurate line here when it makes sense to do one, when it's on the edge here of that little glass jar. I'm going to lighten it a little bit with yellow and a little bit with white. Get a little more blue. I really want to differentiate this bottle from the green in the stems. I don't want it to be as warm. I want it to be cooler. However, let's see here. I'm going to mix up a variation of it over here with the lemon yellow. Add a little more cobalt to this mixture. And a little bit of white. That'll give me that bluish glass color. In between blue and green. Okay, that'll probably work. And I'm still using a large brush. And I am going to mix a value here. It's going to be in the middle as well. It's yellow, but we need to, it's a mid-range value. We're using this for the more orangey parts of these flowers. There's areas that are warmer deep down in there. I'm just making masses of where those colors are, and then we'll come back with a lighter value. I want a lighter value. I'm going to start with white, and I'm going to pick up some of this blue, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of this coloration here, since it's already mixed. And we're going to pull that in. It needs to be a little bit lighter and a little bit more yellow. Let's pick that yellow up. I'll add a touch of turpentine to it. Okay, I need a little bit more white. Let's see here. Got a little bit of darkness up in here. Comes out. And up in here. Okay. Now I'm going to concentrate on the upper portion where the stems are. I'm going to mix a value in this range. And I'm still using a fairly large brush. You can get the same effects by using just, you know, a long straight edge versus going to a smaller brush. Alright, I want to lay in the background, which is a grayish kind of off-white. I'm going to start with white. And it's really going to be a combination of this and this value. So that does. Man, it needs to be a little darker actually. Let's use this for this value up in here. Add a little bit of yellow to it since it's a little more in the light on that. And I want some sharp edges right there at the edges of it where the light is coming back from behind. I want it a little more yellow. And then I will take some of this color and I'll go in and pick up some of this value here and tint it, just bend it a little bit with some blues and make a darker shadow color. That's a little too dark. All right, that'll work. And as shadows go away from the object, they get more diluted. And I'll make sure we portray that. Okay, and in between these two areas here, I want to put a transition color. I'm going to get a combination of both of them and put in between those to bring those colors together. So give it an easier transition. Let's get the flowers in. I'm going to go to a little bit smaller brush, and I'm going to mix a value. An orangey value for the deeper colors of the flowers here. It's not quite as deep as the underpainting, but there's areas there I'm going to leave to represent. Let's see, represent those areas. And actually, there are some areas that are a little darker, and since this is orange, I'm going to add just a touch of blue to this mixture to make an area that is in shadow up underneath in those areas. Okay, I want lighter value right here. Now you don't want to go and overdo all these strokes, because you're going to lose a lot of these unique little things going on these flowers with all this stuff in the middle. You don't want to lose that. And these little flowers have a lot of, you can put a lot of wispies in some of these points on some of these shapes. And actually, when you get to a spot where you're putting a little more detail in, you could use the solvent-free gel, the Gamblin solvent-free gel, to put that in there to where it'll stay really nice and clean. Okay, this one here, we're going to have it. This one's kind of facing us here. I'm just squinting down, putting in shapes that I see. We don't want to lose the, like in here, there's a lot of coloration going on back in there, but I don't want to lose that petal there. I want to be able to maintain that and keep that petal, make it look like it's coming out front of the rest of them. Because the more you mess with it, the more you're going to lose what you've got there. So it's better to be very purposeful in what you put down to begin with than rather risk losing what you've got down there. Let's see. I'm going to add a little bit of solvent-free gel. And finish this one up here. And you'll just notice once you start, if you use the solvent-free gel, you'll notice that when you put that color down there, it just holds really well. It gives a sharp, crisp, clean lines to some of your strokes, and it'll help you to really maintain them. They don't, now that is if you don't mess with it. You got to lay it in and leave it. But you can put it in there and it'll just kind of stay. It won't kind of start melding into other stuff that's there. There's one little sweet stroke. I want it to stay. I'm going to very delicately put that in there, but I don't want to overwork it. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to a smaller brush for that. Okay. It kind of comes and goes in its shape. It's kind of a wilted part of it, and it's thick and thin in different places, and I don't want to lose that. And I may cut in with a little bit of background color. Let's see here. To really sweeten that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's work our way around. And I may go ahead and use some of this to keep some of this going on here. Now this actually has a little bit of green center to it. I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to use a little bit of the solvent-free gel, and I'm going to go in. I'm opening my eyes a little more as I'm seeing some of the detail down in here. I'm picking up on some of those stems down in here and putting just a little touch of light of a green color on them so they look like they're, you know, the stems. There we go. Let's see what that does. This helps bump it up just a little bit to the next value. Put a few little interesting highlights on these things. We'll be wrapping this up. And at this point, I'm just kind of finding little areas to do some nice little pretty strokes. And I gotta show a little love over here. I don't want to be quite, I'm gonna dilute that down just a bit. And I think just for some harmony, there's some highlights. I'm gonna mix it a little bit with the yellow. I don't want it just pure white. And like right here is a nice little spot. And it's kind of poking through here, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little spot in there too.